So hello everyone, welcome back to Frontrunners Innovate, and I have a couple of familiar faces for you. If you watched our last video, that one was our first in this series that we're doing in partnership with LeagueMed, and tickled to have John Gallagher back with us. John is the CEO of LeagueMed, and you'll get to meet him in a minute. Also with us is Marissa Fayer, a front runner from long-standing front runner, we'll just say that, and wearing a different hat today with DeepLook, and she'll explain this innovation in the healthcare space. And that's what we're really all about here is in this particular series of podcast interviews, we're talking with innovators in medical devices and healthcare, spaces that really make a difference in terms of disruptive impact. So I'm going to turn it over to John Gallagher first to introduce himself and talk a little bit about LeagueMed. John.
Thank you, Mary. Well, I am one of the founders and the CEO of LeagueMed, and we are a multimedia digital investment platform designed to raise money for rising private medical technology companies, and to do so by sourcing capital from healthcare professionals broadly described, as opposed to more traditional investment banking seeking it from institutional investors. And it's a function of regulatory liberalization that followed the Jobs Act, which opened up the private markets more broadly to the mass affluent, and created, the private markets were always, there was access, but then there's accessibility. And given that there was limited measure of participation in terms of the limited number of people who could participate in any offering, communications about every offering had to be sort of bilateral and confidential. Those constraints have now been lifted. And so, we can bring the larger, you might say retail, the mass affluent community into these markets and allow them to share in the opportunities represented by all these great innovators that you, Mary, are interviewing, and Marissa represent one of those great people and making change and making things better in the healthcare space. So that's what we're seeking to do. And we just launched the platform, and we're excited about what's to come.
Fantastic. Thanks, John. It is leaguemed.com if you're looking right now. I know some people might go, whoops, got to go look at that right this second. So very good. And you'll get another site to look up here in just a second. This would be DeepLook, and it is Marissa Fayer's new baby, we'll say, fairly new baby anyway. She is the CEO, and Marissa, you're somebody that we've known for a little while, and you just have yourself involved in so many different things that I think make a difference anyway. It just seemed natural for you to launch another effort here that would grab everybody's attention in the medical space. So why don't you share a little bit about your background, get everybody caught up, and then talk about DeepLook.
Absolutely.
See where we go.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Well, and it's not so new of a baby. It's actually my 3-year anniversary at the company, so not that new. But my background is I'm an engineer out of BU. I have an MBA, and really I was in the operations and manufacturing space in healthcare for a very long time. I was in corporate for 15 years. New product development. I developed the 3D mammography system, launched that out into the world. Was also doing a lot of mergers and acquisitions, which allowed me to travel the world and to live other places. And I started seeing the disparities very much, especially related to women's health. And as I was working at the largest women's health company, and what I saw is that women around the world don't have access to quality healthcare and quality devices and equipment. And so I started the idea, and for Her Health EQ, which is a global nonprofit operating now in 12 countries, 83,000 women directly impacted with better health because of us. It's just making sure that the doctors around the world have the equipment that they need to focus on women's health. But I was always doing, at the same time, I also built a successful consulting firm for 10 years. I grew a lot of businesses, was taking on a lot of fractional work as well. And so taking on executive positions, taking on several board positions, still do, working with some investment funds and things like that. And was leading a lot of companies, indirectly in fractional positions. And that's also where DeepLook Medical comes in. I was brought on as the CEO 3 years ago. That was after I was working on the NIH task force for COVID-19 diagnostics. And so timely, it worked out in 2022. It was time to start moving on to something else. And so I started work with DeepLook after being an advisor for many years. And just actually, I think in the next few days, it's my 3-year anniversary here. And what we do is we are a software imaging technology company. We're FDA cleared, UK, Canada as well, many other countries. And we are an imaging company that overlays on top of the existing hardware technology that helps to visualize soft tumor lesions, which could be any masses. But we visualize with one-click measurement, segmentation, and visualization to help the radiologist and the oncologist just see better. And the really big problem with this whole area is that when you have dense tissue, it's very hard to see. And that really means dense breasts, which disproportionately affects 50%, over 50% of the world. And back to the equity issue that is near and dear to my heart, it disproportionately affects Black women, Asian women, Hispanic women, and Jewish women. And so just means like you're looking for a cotton ball in a cloud. So there might be something there, but a radiologist is not they're humans too. And so now there's so much technology to just help them visualize better. That's very much what we do. We work across MRI, CT, ultrasound, and mammography for all health areas. So thyroid, liver, prostate, neuro, all of those things. But the biggest market right now is in breast imaging. And it's quite exciting. We're commercial, over 200 installs to date, probably a lot more towards the end of the quarter. So, we're commercial and we're out there, and it includes, the likes of the NHS in the UK, Cleveland Clinic, working with Mayo, all of these other great places. And so, we're a software that just helps to augment and helps radiologists and oncologists see better. It also enables patients to understand what's going on inside their body, because it's really scary when you're told that, oh, well, I think I saw something, and oh, well, now we're so educated as consumers and taking control of our health. Well, I want to see, like that would be your first natural question. I want to see what that looks like. Or if you're even in treatment, you want to see if it works, because most of the time when you're in, cancer treatment, it's horrible and, you feel horrible, but you're willing to stay on something that works. And if you are shown that it works. And so, we've gotten to an age, sadly, where we don't trust our healthcare providers. And if we have a way to show and to give them the faith and to show them what's happening, that's very much what, we're a tool that enables that. So that's what we are and who we are at DeepLook. And it's really exciting. It's an exciting time.
So you're taking the output of these machines and you have a better way to analyze that output.
Yeah, we're doing it live right on their screen. And so there's no, we're not sending anything over the cloud because sadly, as much as hospitals think that they're ready for this, they're not, and they admit it, and they don't want their data being sent anywhere. So actually it happens all locally, it's all live, instantly, and they can, choose to save it or change it, because the other point is we want to make sure that patients aren't being sent for additional tests and imaging that they don't need. And right now, especially in breast imaging, that happens. And you automatically get an ultrasound if you have dense breasts, which affects over 50% of women. Then you typically also get an MRI. Well, those machines are very costly and time consuming. And maybe if you didn't have to do some of those just because you weren't sure, then that's where we play. It also gives a lot of the newer radiologists confidence. And then there's also this little detail in breast imaging where, listen, there's 42 million mammograms that happen every single year in the US. So it's very, it's relatively high volume, but you have to have a special training to be considered a mammography technician and a mammography radiologist. we do not have that coverage around around the country. And
Right.
so there's a lot of images that are being read by people who aren't specialists in mammography, and it is a specialty. Just like, you know, I wouldn't want a general surgeon doing my brain surgery. I don't want a general radiologist, who are wonderful and lovely, to be looking at my breasts, because that's a very specific segment. And so those radiologists who are not breast certified have another tool.
Mm-hmm. And this, I assume, would help in many respects, but you know, with the crisis in rural hospitals and places like that,
Yeah.
I would think this would be hugely helpful.
Absolutely. And that's, you know, a lot of what we're targeting as well. Obviously, we want the bigger sites, but,
Right.
you know, of course, we want the more rural ones. I mean, you know, certainly we're talking to even like, you know, Rutland General in Vermont, you know, for example. I'm just putting that randomly. But, you know, you want to see a big volume, but they want to, you know, they need tools too. And
Right.
it shouldn't matter where you live to decide on care. And that's really what equity comes down to, everything that I've been working on you know, my whole life, and to make sure that there's tools and technologies. The other thing is, you know, we're on this like hairy edge of we're not really AI, honestly. And as much as everyone says they're ready for AI, again, they're not that ready for AI. And there's so many questions that come in. There's so much being thrown at them. We're not making decisions. We're not even, you know, making suggestions. We're showing you what's there. You make the decisions, because
Just sort of enhancing the evidence, I guess.
yeah, it's visual intelligence. That's all that it is.
Yeah, perfect.
And I know it sounds easy, and so basic, but as much as I would love to say like we're on another planet and, you know, in healthcare, we're not there yet. And visual intelligence is something that people understand. You know, we're not a black box of AI. We're fixed software that we all have been running for 25 years.
Right.
So yeah, that's where we're at.
That's exciting.
Yes, Marissa, knowing myself, is this something that you're going to be putting out there, or have you already put it out there in different countries?
Yeah, so it's definitely out there. So we're approved in Canada. We just recently got our new clearance. UK, the US, of course. We're going to be going after Mexico and Israel right now. I just was reading paperwork this morning, and also several GCC countries. We're specifically targeting all of these for the sole reason of they take the US FDA. We are preparing to do a submission in Europe towards the end of this year. That will start to cover a lot more countries, obviously, in the future. But also, we're a tool that can be used on a teleradiology system. So we know on several African, you know, countries, there might not be an entire radiologist for an entire country. So what they're doing is they're sending their images to a generalized teleradiology service. Well, great, we could be used there to help. And that's very important. So because we're software, you know, we can be used and distributed kind of throughout the world. It just has to do with regulatory clearances. So
yeah. And so how do you, so the images are produced by whatever device in question, and then it's sort of analyzed by your software installed on a computer that's attached to this department, or, you know, this division, or whatever it is. So fairly straightforward, easy install.
yeah. So what we do, the way we manage this is actually we don't do hospital by hospital, site by site installation. Our customers are the companies. It's a Philips, it's a Fuji, it's a Barco that makes the monitors. It's the systems, it's a GE, it's a Visage, it's a software that they're already using. We actually plug in to them, and
So you're incorporated as part of the
we're a feature in their software. So technically they're already approved, you know, and they're our channel partners. So
Right.
they're selling, obviously we support them, you know, because there's so much to be sold, but we're there as another tool, as part of their platform, as part of their software.
So are you an elective feature, or is it embedded as a?
Oh yeah. The other point is only used on demand, and only when the radiologists want this, because right now they have so much that's popping up. The trend is they're now turning all of it off.
Right.
And so only when they need it. So only on the probably most dense, you know, of tissues. On a liver that they're really looking for, you know, a very specific spot. Livers are very, very dense. It's hard to see the edges of a lesion. We will highlight and show you the edge of the lesion. The other point is, if you want to save us, great. If you don't, you don't. You know, if you find that image is not right, or you don't like it, or it was just for information, and you don't want to save it to, you know, to back to the PACS or save it back to the EHR and to the patient record, no problem. Then you just unclick. And so it's very much on demand and radiologist and oncologist led. And we have been finding and hearing that that's as much as everybody loves things of trying to make decisions for them, they're trying to take back their power. And so this is something that they can use when they want. They're not going to use it on every case. They're not going to use it on the easy ones. They don't need to. Or they use it, you know, in a tumor board, or they use it, you know, for verification purposes for their own biases, things like that. But they don't have to use it all the time. And also, let's be clear, things are not found on every exam. You know, thank God everyone does not have, you know, a suspicious mass on everything. And so when there's an area that maybe they can't see inside, or they want to take a, pun intended, deeper look, then that's when they choose to turn it on. All it is literally like a little pinky. You know, they have these really complex mouses, and they just kind of hotkey it, pinky, and that's it.
And what's kind of the revenue? Is it per use subscription, or it's just sold to Philips and they stick it in there and you get a licensing fee, or how does that work?
Yeah, so there's a few different models, just based on the delivery mechanism for obvious reasons. One of the bigger models is an annual license, and so it's a, you know, per system license and annualized. You can use it once, you can use it 2,000 times, knock yourself out, but you have it on your workstation. The other time is it's kind of volume. So knowing that you're probably going to do, you know, you're a center that has 100,000 mammogram images, you're going to need this on half of them. You're probably going to run it, you know, whatever. So it's an enterprise license of X number of dollars. If you go over that usage, great. If you go under, you know, we still get it. So kind of different models. And then there's the third one where it's the enterprise license, which is the enterprise to the bigger companies. So for example, if we partner with a Fuji and they're just like, oh, it's the first year, we just want to try it. Like, here's $250,000, like we'll use it on whatever. And we put conditions on that for obvious reasons, but you know, that could be the enterprise kind of general licensing model. So we have all three. Listen, as a small company, we definitely need to be flexible.
Tell me about it.
And, you know, we need to be as flexible as we possibly can. And it makes it easier for us to be able to kind of adapt to, you know, the different
Sure.
sockets that we can plug into.
Yeah, well, there's all kinds of circumstances you have to address.
Sure. Yeah, we change it all the time.
And are you, is it sort of a pincer move in terms of marketing or educating people about the utility of the application, and that, you know, if you had a Fuji, they tell people about it, but you're also out there telling a story, trying to get, you know, awareness, and together somehow, you know, the distribution of the utility is software is greater.
Yeah, so we do it in conjunction. So of course we want our partners to go and market it, but they also have 20 other things to market.
Sure.
And so we give them the tools to be able to do that. We do the trainings, we continue to do education. We ourselves as DeepLook do the education, do the training. For one of our companies, we've actually, for the next 6 months, have kind of taken over the training, the education at the sites and things like that to get more adoption, because really, most other places want to see, where else has this been used? And
Right.
so when you have a massive list of where else this has been used, and, you know, and evidence, then okay, then that's great. They're just like, oh, okay, they did the hard work. We like it. We
Right.
want it.
Everybody wants to be first to be second.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Everyone likes to be number 10 on the list, and never in the
Right.
single digits. Yeah.
Right. Oh, that's great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you're scaling.
You get it.
right now.
You get it, John, with the flexible pricing and all this stuff,
No.
craziness.
Playing
Yeah.
nice in the sandbox with others, very important.
Yes. Yeah. Whatever anybody wants, we'll do. We'll figure it out.
Let's figure it out.
Yeah. Yep.
Marissa, you're still growing. You're scaling right now, right?
Yes.
Tell us a little
We
bit
are
about where you're
commercial.
headed this year.
Yeah, for sure. So we are growing and scaling. We're intending to have about at least 1,000 different installs this year, which is great. We should by the end of the year. That's what we're tracking to, which means 1,000 different users, which is quite significant in the first year. We've just started to grow into scale. So that's growth. Several different partners in the next 1 to 3 months are about to be announced, and some significant partners, quite honestly. And so, yeah, so growing our partnerships, growing our installs, growing our products. Obviously, we have a new product that we're working on as well, that layers on top of our existing DL Precise. We're also expanding, and we've announced the expansion into ultrasound. So breast ultrasound will be going into some other areas as well. Also, thyroid ultrasound. We're looking at low dose CT for lung and for liver as well. And so we're already FDA cleared for all of it, which is wonderful news. And all we have to do is just get the partners to start using it. Thyroid and breast ultrasound is the most natural because it's the next also pathway. So once you get a mammogram, you typically always, women who have suspicious areas will get an ultrasound. So to have that consistency, and once you've done it, thyroid is obviously translatable. And so, yeah, so we're growing and expanding, several different partners as well. And then, we're gonna see about what that looks like, and maybe acquisition not this year, but.
So does the application of the software, the focus is on breast at the moment, and as you just said, moving on to thyroid. Does it go on to the other organs naturally in sequence, or is there?
Yeah, it's also, kind of understanding what it's most relevant on. So liver is very, 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 very dense. It's as if looking through this wall behind me. And so it's very dense. And so, if you have a mass there, it's really hard to get the outer segment to understand growth patterns, obviously. So that's a specialized, but of course you only see, you're only getting an image if there's something of suspicion. Lung is the next area that really has had started to launch annualized screenings. And so, that's a low dose X-ray.
And you also have that, tell me if I'm wrong, but my cousin died of it. But this sort of like idiosyncratic occurrence of lung cancer in women who don't smoke.
It is the fastest growing segment of lung cancer, non-smoker women.
Yeah, it's my cousin unfortunately died of that.
Yeah, a lot of times it's just they're thinking because of pathways related to obviously breast and locationally, and I don't know, maybe metastatically things are moving and growing that way. That's the other way that liver, kind of metastatically kind of thinking about it. Again, it's just focusing on where there is the most imaging and where the most problems are. And in lung, you're looking for all these different nodules. And it's not necessarily looking for different shapes of masses, but nodules grow, and nodules grow into cancer. And so you can, anybody could have, 10 to 40 of them. That means you have to measure every single one, every single time. If you can just click, 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 we can do that for you, obviously, much faster. And you can then see the very specific changes in differences, is scan over scan, which is typically year over year. Obviously, I'm incredibly partial to women's health. So focusing on whatever is women's health, thyroid, disproportionately, 90% of all thyroid cancers is in women. Lung cancer,
right.
Exactly what you just said. Yeah,
wow.
Exactly what you just said, John. Lung cancer is growing in non-smoker lung cancer disproportionately. They're saying something almost like 70% are women.
Yeah, I know. I became somewhat familiar with it just because of the family.
Scary.
But it's just it's seemingly inexplicable.
Yeah,
at least to the layman.
Completely. No, it completely is inexplicable. Somebody will eventually figure it out.
Right. And there's maybe some environmental circumstance.
Of course. It's definitely environmental.
Yeah. Well, that's exciting.
Wow. So
it's exactly the kind of thing that interests us. For what it's worth, I sort of came into the business sort of at a diagonal, unlike you, growing up in healthcare. I grew up in asset management alternatives, and I was inspired by two things: my knowledge of the regulatory change in the private markets, but also I went to work for a couple of years ago, a family office in New York, who you may have bumped into for being in the same larger field, the Viscogliosi brothers.
I know them well.
Yeah, okay, so and they wanted me to build a boutique investment bank for them to finance some of the other businesses. And so I gained a new appreciation for medical science in a way that as not as a consumer, and the opportunity there, and the need for capital. You know, the innovation ecosystem, as you know, surely better than I, is extraordinary, but there's insufficient capital to fund all those things that merit, you know, merit investment. So we're not going to solve that problem, but we can make a contribution, and that's what we're trying to do.
No, that's amazing. Yes, and listen, it's a big and small world. We often all know each other, but don't know everybody else. And I mean, listen, we're still raising money. We're working to close out our Series A now at this point, and then just for growth and for scale. And then hopefully, you know, with revenues, that should be our last money. And as a woman raising money in women's health, I hope to never have to go through that again in the worst fundraising environment. In the worst fundraising environment known to man, I should start putting out some books and things. I'm sure soon about that. Let's let the crisis, you know, finish, and then I can say all the lessons learned and things to do. But yeah.
Well, you know, one of the things that we put together as fundamental feature of the business was, and we sort of backed into this, but, you know, a sort of online media property. Most people are doing like things, you know, Start Engine and those places, they all want to be marketplaces, you know, Home Depot of private offerings. And they just say, here, we have deals, you have money, have at it. We just thought, well, that's not going to work, and that's not really who we are. So let's lean in with an educational offering that presents some insights, some benefit, cultivates in some measure trust and curiosity. And within that context, we introduce the investment feature. So part of that allows us to tell stories, to feature people, entrepreneurs, institutions. So to the extent that that might be of assistance, we should probably talk about that in another conversation.
Absolutely. I would love to. That would be wonderful.
We've gotten a lot of interesting, we started talking to a lot of the big health systems and universities who obviously are being challenged, to put it mildly right now. And, you know, they're waking up to the fact that they have to better, you know, claim their values to the public at large and to cultivate private sources of funding for all the science and companies that are being formed, their systems and off the campuses. So, you know, we had Princeton University in our office the other day. So, you know, it's a conversation that resonates, not because, you know, we're so great and so clever, you know, even a blind squirrel finds an acorn, but we have an opportunity to do a little bit of good here and down the road. Well, so love to, you know, work with you on that if that makes sense.
Yes, I would love to. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
I think you might have found a new columnist, John.
There we are. That's all good. We love
you can see online, I'm pretty prolific, and something's hopefully about to be published soon in Fast Company and Forbes, and I've been in Forbes, Fortune, all the things. So I'm happy to. I would love to. Listen. I always want to continue to educate, and you know, I have one particular opinion, and it's one, and maybe it helps somebody else.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, we just wrote, I mean, I contributed at the margin. My colleague, Rich Purcell, just wrote a essay, which we put up online and actually was noted in medical economics, called Financing the MedTech Journey, which was about the difficulty, the valley of death, you know, between the grant experience and the private finance experience. And
yeah, welcome to my life at Healthy Q as well.
Yeah, right.
Yes, I am always looking and asking for money, and none of it is for me.
Right.
It's all for the betterment of other people, you know, around the world, and it's very much, but it's not something that I like to do. I'm an operator. I like to get things done. I'm an engineer. I solve problems. Sadly, we need the money to solve the problems, and so
raising money is a purgatorial experience. I've done it all my life. I don't know why. I'm a masochist, but
well, then you must be very
it's a regular diet of delay, rejection, and disappointment.
Yes.
Occasionally.
Yeah, I think everybody should try. Yeah, everybody should try to raise money at some point for something, and just experience, you know, rejection, because I think it'll strengthen people. I have more character than anybody needs to know.
That's what I tell myself all the time.
Me too. I don't need any more character. I'm fine. Somebody could just give the money, then I'll be fine. I got plenty of my own character. We're good.
Right. Well, that's great.
You guys are fun. Marissa, I don't know if I ever introduced you to the gal in Ghana who was the first woman surgeon to ever do breast cancer surgery there.
No,
Yes.
I don't think
And
so, but we're doing a big
so
project in Ghana right now.
perfect. I'd love to connect you to
Yeah, I
her.
was just talking to our partners right now. Like they're literally, they're checking up on our equipment.
Wow.
It's cervical cancer.
Perfect.
Like, yeah, I'm sure they all know each other.
Yeah, I did it, and actually she's a front runner. I did an interview with her. I'll have to send it to you and you can have a look at it. Yeah, she actually started a foundation there too
Oh,
for that
fabulous.
specifically. So she's definitely somebody to know. But yeah, I'd like to introduce you to them. So,
Yes, of course.
anyway,
Of course.
so
You
John,
bring the best
serendipity
people
there.
together, always together.
that's what I do. But yeah, I'll get you connected to her. Yeah, John, do you have any like final words about LeagueMed you'd like to share or anything?
Well, I mean, I guess what I was just sharing with you both that, you know, we spent a little bit more than 2 years building this platform. It was a big technology project. We've just about to embark on commercial operations. We have, you know, put up, you know, the platform out there. We haven't put up any deals, but we've begun to tell stories, have fundraising mandates come the fall. And, you know, as I said earlier, we're not going to solve the problem, but we want to make a contribution. And I think we can do that, and we can bring incremental capital into the innovation ecosystem. You know, by virtue of regulatory liberalization, you know, essentially the government finally sent out an invitation to the mass affluent to participate and and you can see the big asset managers are now advocating that people become more involved in the private markets. I mean, Larry Fink runs BlackRock. His last annual letter said, you know, the new default portfolio is 50% equities, 30% fixed income, and 20% alternatives. Now, what defines alternatives? Generally, they have a private market aspect, and you know, there's all manner of things on the menu that you can incorporate. Certainly here, you know, medical technology is one of those things one should give some thought to. In addition to which, unlike investing in, you know, I spent a career raising money for hedge funds and other alternative investment funds, and I was so removed from the application of capital and the purpose for which people, you know, how they use capital. It was all abstractions, sharp ratios and returns and volatility and this, that, and the other thing. And it was all, you know, very interesting, engaging, and you know, it paid for our life as a family. But here, what's inspiring to me is the work of people like Marissa. But also, if we can fund these people some small way, you know, you've made a contribution to alleviating human suffering and difficulty. I'm not delusional. We're not, you know, the people who are going to sort of dispense with all of that, but at least we're in touch with the purpose of capital, and it's a good purpose. We're not creating another mobile app, another game or something like that, which is, I don't say pointless, but in the larger scheme of things, it relatively is. Whereas here, you know, if we can do our job well, and we can work with people like Marissa and others, and we can help them realize their vision, well, then somebody in difficulty, distress, or who's suffering, their life will be better. So that's, you know, at this point in my life, that's a good thing to take home with them. So that's what we're trying.
Listen, it's also your way, and listen, it's a for-profit. I understand that, but it's also your way of doing something that is impactful. Because I don't think everybody needs to be a founder of things. They need to be the ones that are supporting it. So I mean, honestly, we would love to, you know, we'd love to have you join us, you know, and we would love to join you. And it's also you're enabling technology to be out in the world. You're enabling things that are helping better people's lives. You're enabling, you know, all of this, you know, technology and innovation and, you know, even nonprofit, all of this out into people's, into the world, because like you're saying, we don't need the 47th of something. You need the ideas that are out there that are new and they're novel and they have legs to them. Sometimes they just need a little extra help. Like for us, we don't have that much left to raise, but it's hard to raise that little
every
left.
little bit is hard.
Everything helps, and to move things forward that are already, you know, especially, you know, that can make a difference, then, you know, that's also your contribution to humanity, which I think everybody should have.
Yeah, well, think about this, and this is, it's more of a, you know, the title doesn't get lucky, but if you think about all kinds of investment verticals, you know, energy, finance, healthcare, sports, the law, whatever it is, there's no other investment vertical like medical technology, medical science, healthcare, call it what you will, that correlates to a highly educated, professionally engaged, relatively affluent cohort who will understand the efficacy of the solutions that you and others are bringing forward. There's not another one to point to. Now there are lots of lawyers, but there's not really an investment vertical for lawyers. You know, they don't produce a lot of, you know, there's not a lot of things coming out of that you would invest in. Energy has some of those aspects. There's not really anything like it. You have this almost perfect correlation between the product and need and the audience who can understand it and drive it forward. And so that's what we're trying to.
True.
Absolutely.
Very good. So I'm going to end this up by saying, if you are a physician, entrepreneur, and investor, if you are one of what we call the mass affluent here and would like to hop on board, it's a free membership to be part of LeagueMed.com. And so you'll get some great education, get to meet people like Marissa, and you know, read up on some latest trends and things like that maybe you miss in the big journals that take forever to read. So
you do a much better job promoting it, Mary, than I do.
It's like, I love that.
She's a great sports person. She's amazing. So
so, and also, if you'd like to check out Marissa's DeepLook Medical, then that is DeepLookMedical.com. And you know, I just was on the site, Marissa, before we came on record, kind of looking around a little bit. And so I love the way that you put the information there. And honestly, because I had in my mind, it was just centered on breast cancer and trying to, you know, look a little deeper to be able to get to and I'm one of those that had at least had the mammogram and had to go back for another because, we think we saw something, but we're not sure. That's happened to me twice in my life.
Happens to me every year.
It does happen, you know, it does happen. And so I think that, you know, I know that what you're doing is going to make a difference to a lot of people. And you know how I feel. I want to spread you around the world, not just in the United States. So we'll work on that. So everybody, thank you for joining us. Thank you too for being here and getting to know each other. Yeah, this has been great. And so join us next time on Front Runners Innovate. So thank you very much. Bye, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Yep.